they all need to talk to each other and integrate, amplifies everything, and that includes the bad data. It knows which validations that the business is likely going to need to have run. I like to take a really customer focused approach. The reality is that that's not always going to be the case.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Insurance Distribution Podcast. I'm here today with Tim Bond, the Chief Product Officer at Adeptia. Tim, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Martin, thanks for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you.
That is awesome. Thanks for joining today. So as to break the ice a little bit, can you tell me a little bit about your background of yourself being Chief Product Officer at Adeptia and what you guys do actually?
Yeah, sure. I've worked in the software industry for about 10 years in a variety of different roles. I started doing a lot of consulting and building applications on behalf of clients using low-code application platforms, like the Mendexes of the world. That was kind of a new paradigm that entered about 10 years ago. And so did consulting and then turned into the product management side in low-code applications. And one of the things with applications is they all need to talk to each other and integrate. So Adeptia is a company that is an intelligent data automation platform. So when the opportunity came up to transition from kind of the application front end side of things to more a little bit more behind the scenes in the integration space, I jumped at the opportunity. So I've been with Adeptia for about a year. I lead the product strategy for our platform called Automate. Adeptia, really, we serve the insurance industry, whether it's health or life or disability is kind of the area that we kind of find ourselves within insurance. And then we also help a lot of clients with financial services, manufacturing, and supply chain. Adeptia is about 25 years old, and we do go after the large enterprise. We partner and have customers, many in the Fortune 100. I like to take a really customer focused approach. I don't want to be another SaaS line item on a customer's vendor list. We like to work closely with our customers. They drive what we're going to add in our roadmap. We help them with their challenges in exchanging data with their ecosystem and really partner with each other and doing things like this, seeing trends in the industry and whatnot.
That's great. So as you know, this is an insurance podcast, so the audience is pretty much insurance-wise. You mentioned you work with top insurance firms. I can recall carriers, maybe some MGAs, maybe some insurtechs too. Could you tell us a little bit of use cases that you have? And also how is this a different platform from other vendors that it could be like cloud providers or snowflakes? For an outsider, this might be something that they mix up and probably you have a concrete answer to. Well, this is different.
Yeah, sure. So we work mostly with insurers, the carriers themselves, and MGAs. Obviously, the ecosystem is big. Brokers, MGAs, the employers or the plan sponsors themselves, third-party advisors. And really what we see and where our product helps is that as those different parts of the ecosystem are communicating with each other, there's a lot of data that is exchanged at different points from the quote all the way through, the quote to claims process, we say, has a lot of unstructured, messy data that is exchanged between all those different entities that I kind of just outlined. And we call that messy, unstructured external data. We've kind of coined the phrase first mile data. Last mile data is a pretty common term in ETL, iPaaS use cases, but we're on the kind of the front end of that. So we use a lot of AI, OCR. We've kind of built our own kind of flavor of being able to handle, we say, any to any integration, any input, any structure, use transformations and validations against that unstructured data to turn it into structured data that you can then work with and action on and get insights out of. But the hard part is really getting it clean in the first place. And in insurance, there's whether you're doing an enrollment or a submission or a claim, right? There's a lot of data that's exchanged that in reality is just not clean for a carrier to be able to make a clean, decisive decision on.
Gotcha. So in a lot of cases, you end up interacting with the core system. You're a part of the way to structure this data into the core system. So you have a
Exactly.
lot of these integrations happening, which there's a recent trend with AI tools like, okay, you don't need to get rid of your quote unquote legacy system. You can actually start
Correct.
working using AI to transform the data correctly. While you trust your system, you keep it. You don't need to get rid of it. So you're part of these
Exactly.
translation layer. Okay,
That's exactly right.
understood. And now that we're touching about AI, and that you, of course, given that you're in the data space, this is a natural field for, well, now every company should be an AI company, according to multiple sources. But
Yeah.
let's say you're in the using this technology, but also taking the carriers the ability, letting the carriers have the ability to work with cleaner data, right? As you mentioned, structured data. What are things that you have seen, being already 1 year in Adeptia, that carriers are struggling when trying to build AI initiatives? Is it they usually go through data problems? Do they have use case problems? Like, what have you seen that it's been a struggle for them?
Yeah, I think the big struggle is related to the data readiness. Speaking more about the carriers themselves, they're building models against the data that is in their systems today, like their policy system. They can train their own model about their policies to help them build out models, build plans and not build plans and price them, right? They have a lot of policy information that can help them do that. But they can't but where they struggle is they can't do it immediately when a broker sends a submission to them that's an attachment in an email. So there's a disconnect on the front end. Or the same paradigm exists like on the claim side. They have a lot of data about claims that they've taken in, what they've paid, what the resolution was. They can build a model to help them predict the cost of their claim or help them manage their risk. But when healthcare provider says, hey, is Tim eligible for this service? They have trouble immediately responding to even determine if I'm eligible to submit that claim or ingest a new claim that might still be coming from a handwritten form that gets faxed to them. So the data that they have in their ERP already, they know that really well and they can build and train models and deploy agents on top of it. But getting that data in the door is really a challenge, and I feel like AI really amplifies everything, and that includes the bad data. So it's important before you write it into any system that it's cleaned and validated, so that you're not going to go sideways.
Getting deeper there, like, what are the things that go wrong with this first mile data that you're getting in through your broker or from a customer request, that naturally ends up getting dirty data into your system, or even no data at all? What are the typical things that you see?
Yeah, well, I feel like the core issue is that there's not an automation layer at the point of the ingestion happening, and validation tends to occur. The carrier wants to get the data in their system as quickly as they can, because once it's in their system, they're pretty good with it. But if you don't have automation at the point of ingestion, validation is going to happen after the data enters the system. So bad data is going to get in and it could propagate itself downstream. So tools that are designed for data integration, like a MuleSoft and a Boomi, those are built more for like system to system connectivity. Salesforce to SAP, API to API, that's solved. That's a solved problem. People know how to do that. But when the data is coming in from a broker, from an agent, a partner, that's not a clean API in a lot of cases. It's emails, it's spreadsheets, it's portal submissions. The quality is varying widely. So having that automation layer at the front end will help you be more efficient in being able to respond and process data and really run your business.
Gotcha. Like, given data, it's one of the most important pieces for a carrier. Like, let's say they don't use Adeptia or they don't use any tool. Do they have people actually sourcing this data in and doing like data collection, like data translation? Is this something that in the past they used to do?
Yeah, the customers that we work with, the carriers, even the MGAs. A typical easy response is to throw people at it. A lot of internal operational teams will, as surprising as it is, they'll still do a lot of manual data entry. And we do see a lot of times custom coding being the attempted solution, where you'll have a team within the IT organization that's probably building custom code solutions for some of the bigger, more important partners, and we'll call them like data pipelines, feeds of data coming in. But those tend to be brittle, and if speaking of unstructured data, if all of a sudden you get a file that you weren't expecting, or it's in a format that your solution didn't like, those things can kind of fall flat. So then the response even further is, well, let's just throw people at it. But we know with AI, a lot of the manual intervention is no longer needed, and that's where we can come in and help.
Gotcha. No, on the other side of the spectrum, I mean, one side is putting people, the other side is using out-of-the-box AI models. Like, where do they fall short? Because I understand that given that you have been working with these types of data for a long time, you know how this is coming. You have probably, I guess, analyzed, okay, yeah, let's put Sonnet 4.6, Claude's latest model, and try to see how it handles out of the box. Like, where do they fall short compared to a specific solution like yours?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, Claude Code is amazing. I use it all the time. It's really amazing what it's been able to show its capabilities here in 2026. We at Adeptia, we've been working with the Fortune 100 for 25 years, so we know a lot about the actual inner workings of these carriers, how their business is run, the rules that they have, the systems that they run on, the formats of data that they work with. And we're building knowledge bases. So a regular LLM obviously doesn't have access to, how a company itself works. Companies themselves are training models, but from a platform perspective, what we're doing is we're saying we understand and have embedded in our knowledge bases, which our AI can call upon to pull. So when it says, hey, I need to transform this accord form, our product has a knowledge base that understands what an accord form is, and it understands the structure that it needs to get into. So it's seen this transformation before. It knows which validations that the business is likely going to need to have run, and it'll recommend things so that the next time an accord form comes in, or this unstructured claim comes in with just, what would otherwise require a lot of manual intervention, we have the transformation rules and the validation rules baked into our product to make that a seamless, really more self-service experience for the end user.
Gotcha. And when it comes to solving this problem, to connecting to a business metric, who are you mostly speaking with? I mean, who is the internal champion within the carrier that you're mostly working with? And what are they trying to see as value to the carrier? Is it like time to process? Is it savings? Is it new revenue? Are they able to map these?
Yeah, we're generally speaking with some of the IT leadership. Well, definitely the IT leadership, because they're solving the problem somehow today, and are obviously looking for ways, particularly with AI and agentic AI, to help them do this processing more quickly. But certainly the business is obviously putting the demand on the IT organization to say, hey, we need to be able to respond to submissions faster. We need to be able to enroll our plan sponsors when it comes time to do enrollment and do a competitive switchover. We need to be able to do that a lot more efficiently. So I think for the business side of the house, it's really, I think delayed revenue is a risk, right? Every day that a submission is sitting in a queue, that's deferred premium that they could potentially be earning. In group benefits, right? A 1 month delay in onboarding for, a mid-sized company like an Adeptia could mean, tens of thousands of dollars in revenue in premiums for the carrier. So the longer that submission is sitting there, the more revenue risk there is. if you're also being, slow to respond to something like a submission, the brokers have choices. If a carrier's quoting process takes days because submissions require something manual going on at the carrier, the broker is going to take all of their book of business and go to some other carrier that is able to respond to them a lot quicker. So that throughout the entire quote through claims process, really the carrier needs to have the operational efficiency to give a better customer service.
Understood. And then the other question that comes up also is, you can do the data translation, do the check, because you know what are the data inputs that you need to, and then I guess there might be mistakes in the data, or there might be gaps in the data. Do you also cooperate, or up to what extent do you cooperate to get back to the user, meaning the broker or the one who did the submission, to try to get the right data back? Is this like a real pain that is happening? And if it is happening, like, how do you get back to a solution?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, the first time you get a feed of data set up from a broker, the odds are is that there's going to be a lot of issues in that data feed the very first time. Like you can give a perfect spec and you can tell them exactly what you want and how you want it structured, but the reality is that that's not always going to be the case. So there absolutely is and should be, at least right now, a human in the loop to review it. And we have capabilities in our product to say, hey, this particular file didn't adhere to these 5 or 6 rules that you applied. You need to go back and look at this and resubmit it, or handle it however your business wants to handle it. At some point, I think agents would be able to do.
That's what I was going to be asking. Do you see a future where that actually happens? Like, even an agent calls you back and says, "Hey, you're missing this, you're missing that. I don't know where to get it. You can get it from here."
I think once we get to a point where the humans trust that the AI agents that are kind of working for them and helping them do their job, once they really fully trust that, then if you're trusting something internally, then you could think about making it more of an external tool. But yeah, so, and then to add on to that, it's one thing if you empower your direct employees, your operations team, to be able to facilitate the data between you and whatever third party you're exchanging data with. But it's another thing if you actually empower that third party to come into your system and kind of set up that data flow, data pipeline themselves. And actually, Adeptia Automate has a capability that you can open up a portal so that your partners can log directly in. They can, let's just say, I'm going to drop my submission files in a particular email inbox or in a particular SFTP drive. I could, enter the host name of the SFTP where I'm going to drop them and give the username and password, right? And then really the partner is setting up, kind of doing the operations of setting up the data pipeline. But then behind the scenes, there's a lot of logic and business rules and validation that the carrier or the company that's bought Adeptia, they can figure that all in the back end, but they've abstracted that complexity to the end user. And that's really another way to help scale that process. So it's not your internal team that's doing it. You're actually, the people that you partner with are the ones that are building and maintaining those flows under the guidelines and rules and guardrails that you've set up.
And I was wondering, when you were telling me all this, that you not only work in insurance, you also work in financial services and other related industries, and especially working with Fortune 100, as you mentioned. We have a super disruptive technology, and you mentioned that you use Cloud Code, you love it. There's, of course, an interesting time right now where probably everybody's talking about AI, everybody's wanting to get their capabilities, but in your day-to-day, this data translation piece is super critical. If you get garbage in, you will get garbage out for whatever, not AI, but whatever process, pricing or sales or whatever process claims you want to do. Like, what is your day-to-day look like as a product leader right now in the company when you have like a very strong, stable structure as an enterprise and such a novel, new, disruptive technology that what was built yesterday maybe is not useful for tomorrow? Like,
Right.
how do you frame this?
Yeah, the approach that we're taking with our product is that we have, the platform that our customers rely on to run their business every day. We do quarterly releases of that product. And so I think, as you know, a gigantic company, they're not going to realistically upgrade their core platforms maybe once a year, and I'm happy that they upgrade, right? So we're balancing, quarterly releases with tangible features and capabilities that are, being requested by them to help out customers. That stays stable throughout the year. And then on top of that, or, to the side, or wherever, we also are building MCP first capabilities. And the MCP is something that we ship much more frequently. And so if you're a big enterprise, you can say, I have this reliable platform that's the base of things. But at the same time, I can be on the cutting edge of some of these new capabilities coming out through my MCP, where I can take on a little more, be a little more adventurous and be more on the cutting edge. So that's the approach we're taking.
Gotcha. And do you have customers that are looking forward to the MCP releases? Like, are they actually?
It's funny. Our like last year at this time, we would demo our core product, and that was pretty much it. And now, like anytime I'm on the phone with even an existing customer or prospect, our pre-sales engineers, they're like, I don't want to show the product anymore. The MCP is too exciting. So it's people think across the board with Claude Code and MCP, and there's a lot changing, and we're showing as much as we are kind of teaching and being a valued partner to our customers on what trends we're seeing, how we're taking advantage of it, how they themselves could think about taking advantage of it.
I think the gaps in between learning and applying have become way smaller. And what you're telling me is that it seems that in the enterprise, which usually things took years, now it seems to, at least the interest has been also getting shorter in terms of when something is released and when you want to apply it, right?
I've heard directly. I was a little surprised when I heard the gentleman say it. One of the larger financial institutions that we work with, he said, this is one of the leaders in the IT organization. He said, my direct employees and our business counterparts don't want point and click applications anymore. They want natural language as the way to interface. And for him to say that,
crazy.
And he meant now, not like we're starting to think about it. That kind of opened my eyes to say, okay, well,
crazy.
If this company's ready to go all in on it, then we got something here. So
because you can read these things on X and then question how actually like the enterprises are moving this. But
I know it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And to start closing, which are the kind of applications, if there are any that come to mind, once they have the right data, they can start building on top whatever they want. What are the key applications that you see your customers are wanting to use clean data, so Adeptia, to build on top?
Yeah, we're in the insurance space. The use cases that we have the most success for with our customers is throughout the quote to claims process. So whether it's being able to handle and process submissions, being able to enroll, handle evidence of insurability examples, leave of absence, carrier switchovers, those types of things that happen kind of during enrollment, whether it's the initial enrollment, the renewal, or just the ongoing employee turnover, life-changing event enrollment kind of day-to-day processing. And then on the claims side of things, processing, as we all know, claims come in from everywhere and anywhere in any format. And that's just hard for a carrier to handle thousands of feeds of data coming in. It's just a big operational nightmare. So those are the places that we help, where we can build dashboards. I think because we say, we're connected to your systems, we can help you do analytics on top of it. But we're really not, Adeptia is not an analytics platform. We can do analytics, but we're not the reason why. You're not going to use us to train your own LLM model. We're going to be that front end data ingestion engine. and we're going toward MCP and making it so that we can meet your developers where they are.
Excellent. Well, exciting times ahead. Congrats on all the traction. Well, 25 years of the company now. You've been already 1 year in the product. Exciting moment to be leading product for a data company, especially in a sector such as financial services and insurance, where there's a lot to be built. So amazing point to be. Let me just close with 3 questions that we'll get to connect a little bit more with Tim, not only the professional, but with Tim. The first one is, if you need to recommend a book to someone, fiction, non-fiction, which book would you recommend?
My favorite book is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand.
What is it about? I don't know it.
It's well, I think it talks about nothing in life is free. You can't have your cake and eat it. I read it a few times. It's a
go-to book, like to get over it.
Sometimes. A little bit of like capitalism. Not everything is for free. It's a good read. It's a long read. It'll take you a couple months to get through it if you read as slow as I do, anyway.
Okay, yeah, excellent. The second one: what is the band of your life? If you need to pick one band, which band would you pick?
I'm trying to. I think I would go with Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, nice. Any particular album that you're thinking of? And why Blood Sugar Sex Magic?
I would. I think Stadium Arcadium is probably some of the earlier stuff. Admittedly, some of the stuff they've released recently, I'm not in love with, but back.
But you got Fruciante back. That's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then finally, if you were to have dinner with someone dead or alive, you can pick. Who would you choose?
Tiger Woods.
Okay, nice. Yeah. That was decisive.
I'm a big golfer. He's my idol.
Excellent. Yeah. Tim, as I said, it was a great pleasure to meet you. Thanks for sharing what you're doing at Adeptia. Congrats on all the traction. Exciting times ahead. And looking forward to keeping in touch and seeing how things evolve.
Martin, thanks so much for having me. Take care.